This is the post-game show, and this is Book Report. Let's get it. Bucs fans, how's it going? How are we tonight? We're celebrating, we're celebrating. We are living the good life. We are back up to where we're supposed to be. And guys, 7-7, for 3 more games to go. We can turn this thing around, and it doesn't look that bad now, does it? It really doesn't look that bad. So your Buccaneers go out there and do a job at Lambeau, hostile environment. We all know that, and they do the job. And I would say, honestly, this was the most complete performance I've seen from the Bucs. Really impressed with everything I saw from them. So let's dig into this. What went right? What went wrong? Well, there's not a lot to complain about. I tell you what went right. Not starting Devin White. That's what went right. It's that simple, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen. It is that simple. 34-20. This was the most complete. And let's face it, there was a touchdown there if they wanted it. There was a touchdown there if they wanted it, and that would have put that into a 40. And we would be literally dripping. Bucs don't need that Devin White. Bucs raise bolts. Absolutely. We're missing him. I'll tell you who we miss. We missed Lavonte David when he's missing. You know when Lavonte David's missing. And when Lavonte David's missing, you feel it, right? But Devin White, I honestly say he's just a really good off-the-ball blitzer. He's a situational dude, and that's it. He wants to be the next Micah Parsons. He's probably not going to be, so we'll move that on. But let's have a little look. Your Buccaneers start off the game in the first quarter. They go 7-3. In the second quarter, they go 10-3. And in the third quarter, they go 14-7. And then in the final quarter, they go 7-4, totaling up to 34 points to their 20. The Buccaneers keep doing the thing where they keep holding teams down to 20 points, which is what you want to do. It's the magic number, right? You just got to score more than 3 touchdowns is 21. So, you put that in. Buccaneers are looking pretty good right now. I was really pleased with everything I saw. Chris Godwin got to eat. I'm sure Mrs. Godwin is very pleased. Tip of the hat to you. Just put a bit of pressure on. I'll tell you what, Dave Canales as a play caller seems to be getting better. The run is getting better. There was yardage there that we could have taken even more advantage of, and we didn't. That's how good the Buccaneers were. There were opportunities. Like our chances versus against the Jags, absolutely. Why not? There's no this defense will keep us in striking distance as long as the offense can keep doing it. Now it looked a bit worrying. Baker Mayfield fumbles the ball when we stop a score going in, and they get the ball and score instantly, and it's almost like, oh my God, here we go. And then the Buccaneers just churning out, and they. In the second half, they give up 10 points, and in the first half, they give up 10 points. You can't argue with that. And the Falcons do us a favor by dropping their nuts because they can't drop their nuts. So they're pretty much out. I do believe this is going to come down to the Saints. I believe this is going to come down to the Saints. I think the Buccaneers and the Saints will have the same record when they play each other. And they'll be the tiebreaker, right? And honestly, because it just feels like that's the scene that the NFL would want. That's the scene the NFL want. 2 teams that don't like each other, trying to make the division, trying to win the division crown. They're trying to do it. I wouldn't be surprised if both teams go into that game 8-7. For real. Because it's a great storyline. If you think about it, 8-7, both teams got a winning record. One team's going to come on top. Buccaneers have already got the tiebreaker, but they have to win that game. And, we know we should take care of business against Carolina, and they got to go and play Atlanta. But Atlanta's playoff hopes just got dashed big time. You do not want to lose a game like this, especially to a divisional rival, especially to the worst team essentially the worst team in the league. You can't. That's not sustainable for them. I can't see them turning around. I think Arthur Smith isn't that good of a coach, to be brutally honest. He looks like a bumbling, complaining old man. Both teams in the division, Saints 7 seed and the Bucs 4 seed. Yeah, so we could see the Saints being in there as well. So this is the thing, guys. This is the crazy part. Is we were all hating. We were hating on this team, right? A little bit. I think we all felt a little bit of hatred, a bit of anger because we had a few years of winning, a few years where winning looked kind of easy, right? And I think we got a little bit spoiled by it, and we're now living in the real world. And I think we know what our players are capable of, and I'm just really pleased with what we're getting out of it. But we've been a bit spoiled because we know what good looks like, and we're not getting good right now. We're getting mixed results, right? But I honestly believe, and I mean this, and I'm not an apologist. I'm not whatever. You can call me what you want. I don't really give a shit, to be honest. I would love to see Bowles coach a year where the team isn't strapped for cash. I'd love it because there's no complaints. You can turn around. You can't lie to me and say, "Oh, well, we could have done this and we could have done that." No, you had the full budget or a very good budget to work with. There's no excuses. So that's where I expect the team to take a leap. Now, we took our best player free agent wise is Baker Mayfield, and we got him for $6 million. And he's playing good football. He's just not playing elite great football, but he has moments. And this week was probably his best moment. Let's go and have a look at this. Baker Mayfield completes 22 of 28 passes. So the pass was always on. 4 touchdowns, 4 tutties, and he was looking good. Rashad White goes 21 carries. I believe he was like 4 point something. I can't remember his rushing average. We'll go into that in a minute. He gets 89 yards, and he slid his ass down. He slid his ass down. I mean, I'd like him to get the touchdown personally. I don't give a shit about anyone's feelings. I don't care. It's harder. It's much harder to come back. Here we go. We got Rick Hughes from Bucs Live, the man, the myth, the legend, and he's got the Bucco Bruce, not like this. He's got a proud Bucco Bruce. Bucco Bruce with more teeth going. Yeah.
4 out of 5. Yeah, 4 out of the last 5, 3 in a row. Where are you Fire Bulls people at? Where are you Baker haters?
I tell you what, I was impressed. That was impressed. That was the win I think the Bucs needed, really solidify faith.
This team is playing its best at the right time of year, and everybody who was so mad that they weren't playing their best in the 3rd week of the season with a brand new offensive coordinator who'd never called plays before, with a brand new quarterback, with all of that. What do you all have to say now that the Bucs, I believe, have a better record than they had last year with Tom Brady?
Yeah, I mean, let's dial it up. These were I wouldn't say handicaps, because it's not really fair to say that, but these are the handicaps Coach Bowles goes in. He gets a rookie play caller. He goes and gets himself let's be honest, a bargain basement quarterback.
Yep.
And we know that Baker Mayfield's a good. He's a bit like James Winston. He's flashy. He has moments. He's never been consistently good. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the position that he was in. He's always been that kind of guy who's got the attitude, says the right things, he's gutsy, that kind of thing. But he's never been that guy who's led the team and never been the dude, so to speak.
Yep.
So you marry a learning on the job offensive coordinator with a quarterback that's on his 15th offensive coordinator. I guess, but it's not far from the truth. He's gone around a few offensive coordinators. Now, the good thing about that is you learn a lot of football in that time. You learn a lot of scheme. You learn a lot about what teams are trying to do defensively to you. So you learn your own philosophy. of being exposed to that much football. So there's good things about that. The complacency side of it is you never get to really master one because you don't have the time. You're not given the year on year growth. It's 1 year and then they change it. 1 year and they change it. It's like, oh God, just give. I remember Levante David used to say, I wish I had the same defensive coordinator for a few years in a row, just so a good defensive coordinator. Because we all remember Smitty, and he was with the team far too long. But it is what it is. This is what happens when you give your buddies a coaching job and they don't do the job, and you're reluctant to fire them.
Now, for everybody who wanted to fire Todd Bowles in week 7, how you like him now?
That was the best head coaching I've ever seen him do as well.
And I'm telling you, it's just, this is how the team's going to develop. This is how Todd Bowles is going to develop and grow. This is why you stick with a guy.
Stick with a guy. He's not being charged. I think Brandon Staley just got fired, right? And he's paid a good $6.5 million. I don't know how many years were left off. He's got like 1 year left on his contract. What people don't understand, and this is the real side of football that people don't get or don't care about because it's not their pocket that's being hit. When you are constantly changing coaches, this is what will happen. You'll go for one coach. Look at the Raiders. The Raiders are the perfect example of this. They're going to have to pay somebody, right? And they're probably going to pay the guy that they've currently got because why not? They should have went with Rich Bisaccia way back when, but that's a different discussion for a different day. The point being is they've fired so many head coaches and they owe them severance money because that's how the contract's fully guaranteed for a head coach. So you're paying people not to coach your team. And you saw that the Carolina Panthers are a prime example of it. Like when they
how about them today, by the way?
Yeah, they got their win. I don't want to give cheers to a divisional rival. It feels dirty, but they did something we needed them to do. They took a team down that was kind of nipping at our heels, and now we can turn around and go, wow, they're no longer. They're a step or two behind. We don't have to worry about that dog getting us because there's a fence in the way.
They are they are 2 games behind us because of the tiebreakers. Right now, the Buccaneers are the 5th seed. Forget
5th and 6th.
The division. Forget being number 4 because we win our division. We are actually the number 5 seed in the NFC.
We're both simultaneously, aren't we? Technically.
Yeah, 4th and 5th. Right. But think about that. If we're 5th in the NFC, 5th best record in the NFC. Let me say it that way. We have the 5th best record in the NFC. 5th.
Why are we complaining?
Why? Please, somebody tell me why we're wanting to fire the
with the 5th best team in the NFC. Life ain't bad. Life ain't bad. Can you remember the times we would kill to be in this position?
Oh my God. We almost, by the way, today, we almost guaranteed ourselves, now the way everything is played out, we have almost guaranteed a playoff spot. If we beat especially if we beat the Saints and the Panthers, we have a winning record.
Yeah.
Forget Jacksonville.
That's better than last year for starters. Let's put it into that spectrum. And I do like the extra year kind of puts you in. There's something horrible about being break even. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
8-8. Remember, the Rams were a team that were consistently 8-8 for like. Yeah. It's like I hate draws. I can't stand a tie. I can't stand ties because it's like kissing your sister. You get no enjoyment out of it.
I don't know. 8-8 to me, there are so many years. 8-8, I would have taken that as a Bucs fan.
Oh, yeah, well,
but we're now we are staring down the barrel of 9-7.
6 wins was like, oh, we're on a high.
I mean, 9-8. Yeah, we are staring down the barrel of 9-8. And all you people, I'm just sorry. I'm just sorry for all of you who were so unhappy earlier in the year and couldn't find joy in this season and couldn't find hope and just bitched. And I know now, what are you doing? Now you're all over Facebook flashing your pictures in your Buccaneers gear, talking about how much you love them and all of that. Where were you then? You were too busy on the sidelines crying like a baby. So you know what? This is my team. I know what
Dave's segment is going to be on your show now.
Oh, then. Yeah. Oh,
that's got to be it.
But for me,
don't be a baby. We've got a massive baby.
Yes. And all I can tell you is I sat here, Slick, I know you did the same thing. We pounded our chest. We said there are things that are imperfect, there are things that need to improve, but this is my team. And
Yeah,
guess what?
I've always
My
been.
team, my team has won 4 out of the last 5 games. So y'all fire Bowles people and Baker haters, y'all just shut up and go home.
So I'm going to just go through a couple of these questions here because Bucks Ray Bolts has absolutely just obliterated the comment section. So I want to give him him or
And
she. I don't know.
Slick,
Other
I'm at
people could be
work.
doing this.
I'm at work, so I have to go. But I
Oh,
wanted to call in.
okay. I appreciate it, brother. You look after yourself.
Yes,
Go Bucks,
sir.
go Bucks, and go Bucks. I'll see you
Go
tomorrow,
Bucks,
maybe.
go Bucks, go Bucks. Hey, one more time, all of you guys, go Bucks.
I love it. Look out, yourself, brother. I'll hopefully see you soon. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these comments. Both teams in the division, 7th seed now, Bucks the 4th seed. And that's all 4th seed and the 5th seed, technically. So if they were to get dropped, there's a high percentage the Buccaneers are going to make the playoffs regardless. I mean, they have to be monumentally shit. And their record, the teams they go up against aren't that great either. The only team they go up against they go up against a team that's got a winning record, then they go up against a team that's potentially got a winning record, and they go up against a team that definitely doesn't have a winning record. So they're definitely going to walk away with 2 wins, and those 2 wins could be the one that just gets them at the 7th seed. Like let's when we're talking bargain basement, that's where you're looking at. Imagine to get the playoffs. Just imagine get playoffs, have a Super Bowl roster. I mean, we're always going to compete. I don't think we're that close to it. I just want this team to be competitive when they do go to the playoffs. I don't want to be. I like it. I don't want it to be one and done. Of course, never do. But I want there to be some. I want to see fight. I want to see anger. I want to see hate. I want to see laying it all out on the field because it's the last chance saloon kind of thing, right? Nobody expect the Bucs the playoff team this year. No one thought the Buccaneers were going to make the playoffs. It was the Saints, and the Saints, and then a couple of people said the Falcons. I think one person maybe said the Bucs, and I've been pounding my chest saying, why not the Bucs? Well, I do not see anything special about the other teams. Oh, they got Derek Carr. I've been calling Derek Carr a fraud from day one. Not day one that he's signed with it, like day one he signed with the Saints. I'm not for it. And I don't want to see my team tank. I'm just not for tanking. Tanking is, in the best way of putting it, if you believe in tanking, you're a pussy. Just straight simple. I'll call you out what it is. If you believe in tanking, you're a pussy. Like, where's your competition? Where's your competitive drive? That means you like finishing. You're happy to finish last because you get an opportunity to have a look at something. That means you're like, I could have. And there's no guarantee who you pick. Buccaneers, remember, people, Buccaneers dropped to the bottom. We took Jameis Winston. How'd that turn out? Yeah, we're winning Super Bowls left and right with that guy right now, aren't we? No, we're not. There's no guarantee. The Carolina Panthers used up 3 first-round picks, I believe. I can't remember the exact amount. I have been drinking alcohol. It has been boozy. It's always boozy in my house. The Carolina Kitty Cats, they mortgaged their entire future to go and get one guy. The guy who came second is the better dog. And Houston is sat there going, we didn't give up nothing to get it. And that's got to feel pretty sweet. And then there's people like Patrick Mahomes. There's other players out there like Dak Prescott. We can mock Dak Prescott. You can mock it. But he's a 4th-round pick. It's a 4th-round pick. And he's playing double-digit win football most years. So we can mock because we can. But at the same time, if you could turn around and get yourself a quarterback that's guaranteeing you double-digit wins for 5 years, guaranteed, you're going to take that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that the Cowboys have had a couple of years where they did suck a little bit. But they have been consistently in the playoffs. They've been consistently, they just lose games in the playoffs because they're just not built for that moment, I don't think. Bucks on pace. Super Bowl run like in 2020. I don't know about that. I don't think we got the pieces available to make that. But hey, I'll believe it because I believe in this team. I always will believe in my team. It's just what I'm made of. It's what I'm about. It's what I'm made of. This Buccaneers team, I hope they find a way to get it all done. Does Baker Mayfield now get Geno Smith money? This is what I was a little bit scared of because the Buccaneers got a bit more money in their pockets, but paying that kind of money is a lot. I mean, I'm gonna have a little snoop at our boy Baker just to be sure. Just let's have a look at Baker for the. You've just got 4 touchdowns, so that's going to bump his touchdown ratio. Let's have a look at where he's at. So he's 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. If he finishes the year with 30 touchdowns, finishes the year, that's 6 more touchdowns in 3 games. So that's 2 touchdowns a game, right? That's not impossible to think. And he's 3,315 yards. And he pumps in 4,000 yards. And he goes 11 interceptions. So an interception per game, right? Just for the sake of argument. That's technically a franchise quarterback. Unfortunately, it's technically a franchise quarterback. And I say unfortunately because you kind of don't want to let that guy slip out your fingers, because what if you go for option B and option B doesn't pan out because you went big on the draft and that guy just didn't pan out, and Baker Mayfield goes and tears it up somewhere else. I don't know. That's just the way I'm kind of looking at it. But like the way Baker Mayfield is now, like I'm just looking at his years. Statistically, he's on pace to eclipse his most touchdowns is 27. His most interceptions is is not in the same year. He's got 21 interceptions. He went 22 for 21, and in his best year, he went 27 for 14, and he's never hit the 4,000 mark. So if he hits the 4,000 mark, gets the 30 touchdowns, and is either 11 or less interceptions, that's a good year. Let's have a look at Geno Smith. Let's just entertain the fact that what did Geno Smith do to get paid? Because I can't remember his stats. I'm not a big Geno Smith guy. I'm proud. I respect him and what he's done. So this is sweet, boys and girls. So he goes 4,282 yards for 30 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. He is currently 15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So not as good as it once was. Yes, technically he could get Geno Smith money, and with the salary cap being heightened, he may get more. Let's see, Geno Smith. Yeah. So we've just done that, and basically, if he can hit, I said before I looked at Geno's stats, if he can hit 4,000 yards, 11 or less interceptions, and 30 touchdowns, you've got no choice but to pay the guy, because technically you've got to look at it as him growing in your scheme, right? So he should, on paper, it's believed that once you've been in a scheme and it's your second year is supposed to get better, right? That hasn't happened for Geno Smith. But it could quite easily happen for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The question is, how many years and how much? That is a big thing. And I think that is probably the smartest move, if I'm honest. And I don't think Baker's the kind of guy who's going to sit out a year, because it doesn't benefit him in any way, because he's kind of in a year to prove it. So having 2 years, I like that. I'm a big fan of that. I think that's a good call. The only problem you could have is if, say, one of our other free agents wanted to leave, and you were like, and you couldn't get the deal done. So Mike Evans, right? So for a fact, let's be honest, Baker Mayfield without Mike Evans is probably not going to have the same year next year if he doesn't have Mike Evans, considering Mike Evans has the bulk of the yards and the bulk of the touchdowns. So you've got to take that into account. If Mike Evans stays, now Mike Evans might stay because he's like, wow, we made the playoffs. Let's put this a nice little hypothetical out there. Buccaneers make the playoffs. Let's say they win a playoff game and then they lose. Respectively, they lose 10 points or less in a tight game where it came down to the wire. One team was up by 3, and then they just finished off with the touchdown that executed the game that finished it off, right? You walk around on that and you go, you know what? And we score good points and add defense. So let's say we lose 30 to 20 in a playoff game for the sake of argument. And Baker has all the accolades we just talked about. Mike Evans bumps up his stats. Mike Evans might be looking at, there's a future here. Why would I want to leave? No income tax. They're going to pay me. I'm loved and respected here. Buccaneers fans adore Mike Evans. Any Buccaneers fan that doesn't adore Mike Evans probably should just be lined up, putting a gun butt against their head and just done in. How can you not love the guy? He's brought this franchise so much love. Like, I remember when we sucked, and I'd just be so proud that Mike Evans got his 1,000 yards. That was like the highlight of crappy Buccaneers years. Now we get to have it and go, we're going to the playoffs. Now we get to having it. Now we're division leaders. Now we get to have it and say we've got another division. 3 straight. The Buccaneers never had 3 straight division crowns. Let that sink in. If the Buccaneers beat the Saints, that's 4 games in a row your Tampa Bay Buccaneers have beaten the Saints. You can't let Todd Bowles walk. You just can't at this point. If that happens, if that comes into fruition, and they have the season that I literally just spoke about, you are going to be doing cartwheels across your living room or wherever you watch the game because you have to. You can't not root for that. Bucs happily drafted Evans over Calvin Benjamin or Benjabum. Yeah, and going down the Florida State route is not too bad. I'm generally Bucs very bold. So I'm generally talking about like what if both players were close to walking and you have to make a decision on who you're using the tag on. There you go. This is what I'm talking about. I do think Antoine Winfield. Look, it's all to do with the season, and this is a big thing. People don't realize this. It's like tanking. Guess what? Baker Mayfield's gone, so that's done, and you might be okay with that. What if Mike Evans walks? Okay, you can't tag everybody, right? Antoine Winfield may want to walk. The only person you're guaranteed to keep is Tristan Wirfs because he's got his 5th-year option. It's the only person at the free agent, and Levante David might be, I'm done. But guess what? If you make the playoffs, the quarterback has a good year, and everyone they want to stay together because they believe that there's more future. Once you turn around and we're just tanking to go and get a really good draft pick, I don't even know, if I'm honest, who I think the best quarterback in this draft is. I generally don't know. Like, I'm sat there like, I don't know. And I'm sure there's somebody sat on their couch who thinks he knows football left, right, and center. And there's a reason you're not a scout, dude, because you're shit, to be honest. Like, I don't like people telling me how like things have to be when they're a couch person. Like, I don't need that shit. I don't know better than anybody. I've never said that. I know what I know and I believe in what I believe in, but I never ever trigger on anybody else saying I know more than them, because that's not my vibe. I believe that football is a constantly learning process because offenses, defenses evolve, and players and coaches and us as fans have to evolve too. If I've guessed who picking, if I had to tag Baker Mayfield or Winfield, unfortunately the quarterback position is just too important, and if he has a season like that, you kind of have to. But I genuinely believe, and I mean this honestly, if you tag, if you sign, I think here's the thing, right? Let me. I think the best way of doing this, I'm going to do this the smart way. I'm going to do it with my brain, because I trust what the football world's going to give me. Let's have a look. Okay. Now I did this last year when they were talking about the best. Look at the Giants. The Giants threw all the money into the pot for Daniel Jones. And now we're all talking Tommy DeVito. Like, straight up. That's what we're talking, right? And it's because he's injured. It's not because, like, he's out. He's probably outplayed a bit, in all fairness. It's not hard to outplay. But let's just look at the... Let's just look... let me have a look at this. Highest paid safety is Derwin James at $19 million a year, right? That's a question you've got to ask yourself. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Derwin James is the highest paid safety, and he averages $19 million a year. You're going to pay Baker Mayfield $35 million a year plus. So why not overpay the safety and tag the quarterback? Because if the New York Football Giants listen to me, I'm signing Saquon Barkley, who gets, and let's face it, the highest paid running back is something like 16, 17, 18 million. I'll overpay on the running back because I don't want to burn 35 million for 3 years to go, this was a mistake. I'd rather burn the 19 million a year. And I'll average it out. Let's average it out. Jesse Bates is 60 million. So I reckon you can probably get him for about, let's be fair. Let's get him in for 16 million. 16 million a year. You know he's great. You know he's going to keep doing it. And this is where I'm at with that. Sign the safety, tag the quarterback. I want to see one more year where you can be consistent, and I'll give you the money. You may have to pay more if he does. If he does, you have to pay more. But that's the price to pay to know what you've got. I've got consistency. I've got 2 years that I can measure. I'm a big believer in if you can measure something, you can understand it. If you can understand it, you can correct it. You can have a level of control in it. So this is my thing. If you do that, you have an opportunity to measure it and get it right. So let's say, for the sake of argument, he goes 35 million a year. Then the next year you sign him, you tag him, whatever. Next year he balls out, does the same or more. Then all of a sudden, you are looking at it from a very different lens because you have 2 good years to compare in your scheme with the same person, with the same everything. Everything's the same. But he's had growth. You may have to pay 40 million a year. You may have to do it. But the cap will go up, and the money that we owe in dead cap and all the stuff that we've done to pay the Super Bowl comes down and down and down. This is probably the last year of it. Next year, right? You're in a position to pay that, and you're also in a comfortable position going, I've got 2 years of knowing this guy's good. And you've already wrapped up the safety. You've already wrapped up this person. You see what I'm saying with this? So let's have a look. What we got here, we got White running back. He a free agent off season? No, I think he's on his second. This is his second year. This is rookie year last year. So we got him for 2 more years. 2 more years. I ain't worried about paying running backs because you could overpay them and it doesn't really make that much of a difference because, like, they don't really earn that much money. Like, the best running backs in the league, they're not going to cripple your salary cap. They're just not. And you can, like you said, you can transition tag him and, like, I want 5 years. I want to see what the 5th year looks like. I want to see what he can do. That's what you can do. But I'm going to talk about this game because, well, downright, it's freaking important, right? This was a key victory for the Buccaneers. We're feeling good. Life is good to be it feels good to be a Buccaneers fan, right? That's where we're at. And we done that team 20-34. Opportunity to knock another score in, which would have put us way in front. We'd have been 41 points to 20, which means we would have outscored them by 21 points. That would have been the ISO. That would have been the cake drop, you know what I mean? The mic drop, kind of like, yeah, the Buccaneers are here. So Rashad White goes for 21 carries. Carries. Let's have a look. So he averages 4.2, 81 yards, and the run game has improved. This is big. This scheme is getting better. And this is something that it akins me to reminding myself of watching the 2019 Buccaneers, where we were so used to it, and Mike Smith defense had just got blown up in the pass because they're really poor cover-free scheme that they ran. and then we run this, and it starts off a bit shaky, and it improves and it improves, and by the end of the year, you're like, this is a good defense. We could be great. That's where we are. That's what I need to see from the offense. That's why I'm not a believer in firing in mid-season. I don't think it achieves anything. There are very few teams. It's not a thing you can regularly do and get away with, firing your coach mid-season and expecting your season to change, and all of a sudden you're in the playoffs and kicking ass. It probably won't happen. It's possible. The Raiders have done it a couple of times. Respect for that, but it's not a sustainable thing, and you can't do that. So I'm more of a believer of let the season play out, make your decision based on more data. You've got more data to work with, right? So you know your decision. You can look at it and go, yeah, this is where we're at. That's the stopping point. Let's fire him, or let's keep him. Let the season play out. That's what I'm about. So Chris Godwin's wife squealed a little bit, and she got what she wanted. Respect to you, my darling. And I say that non-condescendingly. I'd like to point that out. Got himself 155 yards, had himself a career day, and I'm really pleased for him. Love me some Rod Chris Godwin. David Moore with 2 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown. Great to see him having that bit of a taste. Kind of wish he didn't celebrate until he got into the end zone. That would have been a bit easier, a bit nicer. Thank you for joining A Fizzle. I'll try and get through the people who are joining a surviving mode. That sounds difficult. And then your boy Mike Lynn Evans III. He goes for 4 receptions and gets 57 yards and a touchdown to boot. Life is good. And then Rashad White, two receptions for 50 yards and a touchdown. I would have liked to see a touchdown on the ground for him. I just think he's having when you put the totality of where he's at in total yards of scrimmage, he's one of the better running backs in the league. That's how crazy it is. I think this team is figuring it out. And they've been trying to figure it out, and we've been frustrated because we want them to figure it out quicker, and we want them to figure it out better, and we want what we want now. Trey Palmer has a very quiet day. He goes 1 for 5. K. Dalton goes 2 for 44. And Co Kieft. I didn't know this guy was still on the roster because I hadn't heard his name called, but he goes 1 reception, 2 yards, and a touchdown to kill the game. Let's have a look at the defense. Let's see what the defense. Justin Ramos joins us. Thank you for joining in. He joins in from Twitter or X, formerly known as Twitter, however you want to call that. Antoine Winfield is the tackle leader. He goes 8 tackles and 2 assists. So legit. Levante David, the ankle breaker, the assassin of knees. Levante David, lethal dosage 54. He goes 7 and 2, and he gets himself half a sack. Christian Izen goes 5 and 1, so he goes 5 tackles, 1 assist, nothing else on the top. KJ Britt 3 for 3, D Delaney 3 for 1, Jamal Dean 3, and then Anthony Nelson with the sack, and he gets himself 2 for 2. Kerryon Mayweather, he gets 1 for 1, and then who else has got the sack? We got Shaquille Barrett with the sack as well, half a sack as well. So these Buccaneers didn't sack, but the pressure they were able to apply to Jordan Love was substantial, and we did the job. We did a job. We came in. Job was done. We can now walk away and say we did that. It's Jags time. In-house, not divisional rival, but a home state rival. State rival, we want to win that game. We want to win that game. I know it's not a big matter game because at the end of the day, they're AFC, we're NFC, but we want that because it keeps the separation. And if the Saints pop one to the LA Rams, we're looking in very good position. If the Saints pop one, they are desperate. They would need to. If we can win the Jags game and they lose one, you could almost say the Saints game doesn't really fucking. Well, it does. It still will. It still will because it's the deficit, right? That's what you got to look at. It's the deficit. So we go into that. If we win that Saints game, it is done. Division can be clinched at the Saints. Bucs win out. Let's do the job. Let's win the games. Let's get us. Right, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Go check us out. Right, Bucs Report, The Aftermath. It's on tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. AJ might do a little bit early, but he gets through a monologue, and his monologue's a while. He'll be talking about crossing routes and how the Buccaneers should always listen to him, and they should, because he's that guy. He is my man. He is the man with the plan. He is the guy with the guns. He's the guy with the fun. Ladies and gentlemen, come check us out on The Aftermath, and we let people come on screen, have a chat, we talk, it's like therapy. And I'm hoping, like considering the numbers I've seen today, like at one point there were 17 viewers, which is pretty awesome for me. And this crazy English guy that talks football. Come on to The Aftermath, have your chat your shit, have some fun, and I'll see you then. Bucs on me, Bucs on free. 1, 2, 3, go Bucs!